not remember anything because I was out.
There was in the ICU. Were you like? Is there anything that was coming in your mind, or dreams that you had, or anything?
At that time, I don't like, especially when I was in the first hospital I was in, the first 3 days or 4 days, because I was in AR at that time. I don't remember anything. I just saw photos. People showed me photos that this is you. I was asleep. I can't remember anything. But when they moved me to the other hospital, I remember when I was almost coming back, because I stayed in ICU for over 2 weeks.
Imagine ICU, guys.
Yeah, so
and you say God is not real.
Let me tell you,
God is real.
just God.
Yeah.
So when I was trying to come back is when now I had those funny experiences where you feel like your soul has left.
Really?
Yeah, there are those funny.
Yeah.
There are those experiences that come, and it's not like a dream.
Yeah.
It's not real. Like it's not like dreams. It's almost like you're watching a movie, but this is like an experience.
Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm your host, Julia Wamboi, and thank you so much for subscribing, for sharing, for your support, for your love, for your prayers. We really thank God for you. We are on 1,000 subscribers. Man, we'll go to 1 million. With God, all things are possible, and we really thank God for you guys. Thank you so much for your support. And today I have such an amazing woman, Manze, and a story. And she's doing amazing work. And we really thank God for her. Karibu sana, Sony. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Julia, for having me.
Wow. Karibu. So tell us, hey, where were you born? Mko wangapi?
Wow, those are interesting questions. Yeah. So I was born in Nairobi. I was a very, very quiet and humble girl growing up. But I'm in a family of 6. We are 4 girls and 2 boys. And I'm a third born.
Wow.
Yeah, and I grew up mostly in Nairobi, and even went to school in Nairobi. Yeah, so I'm a Nairobi city girl.
City girl.
Yes, and we grew up in partly in Isili.
You stayed in Isili?
Yes,
I didn't know
we stayed in Isili.
In Isili, me, I knew Pioneer the whole time.
No, we were born in Isili. At that time, we stayed there until I was in standard 4.
Oh.
That's when we moved now to Pioneer.
Oh, to Pioneer.
Yeah, then the rest of my life was there until I got married and got out of home.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So that is how I was born and how I grew up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How was it when you were growing up with your dad?
So growing up was interesting because my mom at that time was at home in the village. She was a nurse there, so she was working there, and I grew up with my dad in the city. So initially we started off at Isili. I was in St. Teresa's Primary School. Yeah, and as I was saying, I was a very quiet, shy kind of girl. I was very humble. Yeah, and because we went with my mom, my dad could not maintain taking me to the salon all the time, so I had I had short hair, so I was a bit of a tomboy looking kind of girl. Yeah, but that was my life growing up. I was a bit sharp. Yeah, I was very good in maths. Yeah,
very sharp. What too sharp? What very sharp?
Now I was sharp, and mostly in things like maths, I was very good. But now I was even being bullied many of the times by some of my classmates who wanted me to do for them their homework. So you just know, sometimes you have those kinds of characters in class. Yeah.
And how did you handle it?
So I just used to do the work because I enjoyed maths. So I would just do for them and give them.
That you love.
Yeah, and I was a person who would really avoid conflict. So if I knew that's what they want, nilikuwa tunafanya nawapatia. So that was me growing up, and I was very quiet. Very, very quiet. I rarely used to speak in class unless the teacher specifically points at me and says, "Sony, can you tell us?" That is when I would speak. Yeah, then I think I was also short-sighted for a long time, but I didn't even understand that I was short-sighted. You know, I used to think everybody saw the world the way I saw it, but I used to really strain to see. Yeah, it's until standard 7 is when I was able to. Now it became a big problem. So, you know, I have to study and I would have to sit at the front of the class. So that's when it became a very big, because the teacher was like, why are you always squinting? Yeah, that's when now I had to go and see an optician and got specs. But my life was a bit blurry in terms of vision many times.
Okay.
Then another thing I remember about growing up was when we moved to Pioneer from Eastleigh, when I was now in standard 4, I didn't change schools.
You didn't change schools?
No, I didn't change schools. So those days now I would have to commute from Pioneer, take a bus to town, then from town, take a bus to Eastleigh. Yeah, then again do the same thing in the evening. So sometimes I tell my kids how I schooled and they're like, hi, because now I can't imagine my kids at in standard 4 anapanda basi aende tao tena atoke tao aende, you know.
And how come you were never like you were not spoiled? Unajua watu wa 3 you were just okay.
No, me I was okay and
you're focused.
I was very focused and remember I wasn't even seeing much. So focus yangu ilikuwa, have I taken the right bus? Yeah, has it taken me to the right stop, and then now I commute back at home. Yeah, it was a bit challenging, but you kind of survive. Yeah, I had a friend who used to stay at Kariobangi South. We were still in the same school, so we'd try and team up. Yeah, but those days were not easy.
But you were so young, I can imagine. You know, my husband used to tell me he was doing standard 3 taking a bus. I'm like, what?
Imagine those days. I don't know how we were responsible, but that was how life was. I was, you know, sometimes when I think about it, I really wonder. Because I think I even learned how to cook ugali when I was in standard 4. Now when I look at my kids, some of them are even past 18 and they cannot. It's an issue. Yeah. But I think it was just different those days. It was different. But it helped us become, I think, the people we are.
Yeah. True,
we are right now. Yes.
So after college, university, did you get a job immediately? Did you hustle? Did you?
For me, after campus, I think I was lucky because I went for just 2 interviews, and in between the holidays, those days, my dad used to know people up Puko industrial area, so we would get small odd jobs. So I think in a way, in between the holidays, you'd work a little bit. And then now after campus, I went for, I think, my very first interview, which was very intimidating. As in, can you imagine, you're just fresh from campus, nobody has taught you what to go and say in an interview. Then when you go for this interview, you find a whole panel of, I just remember a big table with so many people asking me questions. I felt like I wanted to sink in my chair, but I was just there. So I was there boldly answering those questions. And I remember there was one lady in the interview panel who kept smiling at my answer. So I decided to focus on her.
Yeah.
So every time I was asked a question, I focused on her. She's smiling, sort of encouraging me. So I was answering all the way. Then there was a very tough guy. I don't even remember him. He was asking the most difficult questions. So I didn't even want to. So can you imagine my first interview was, with a panel. And I remember getting the job. Yeah, wow. I got that job. So to be honest, I think I was lucky because I didn't do too many interviews. Yeah, but now the job I got was not, it was not an easy. That is another long story. But it was a difficult job. Because you remember I told you I grew up in Nairobi. Even university was in KU. So it's still more or less around Nairobi. So now the job was in the coast, Mombasa.
Yeah. But by the way, let me tell you, I've remembered. Do you know, I used to be bad. Okay, you guys. One day I'll share my story. Do you know I used to drink and go to her place in Mombasa? Do you remember? What was I doing? And she was so good. And she really has a good heart. And she could leave everything and go to work. Me nimekunywa. God, may you forgive me.
Yeah, so
I
those days,
remember.
you remember, yeah.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
at the South Coast, huko ndo nilituma my first job.
And you're so, you had everything, a TV, yani everything.
Like, but it didn't start there. It started
really?
with, because the first time we moved there, we started with a mattress. We were with the
my
ladies who went
goodness.
there at first. We comboed a house. The three of us. It was a 3-bedroom house, and each of us bought a mattress.
What?
And with the mattress, you just know how it goes. You naiweka tu hapo kwa floor, then got a meko, and we were sharing the house. But now that estate had so many thieves. Yeah, those noise every day they were burning. I don't know. People were screaming in houses. Yeah, so that's when now I decided to move out on my own. And now what used to be happening every month, you decide to buy something. So of course month 2 maybe you go look for a bed. Month 3 with that salary you buy something else, a TV. You remember those TV stands? We used to have some TV stands that were very common, yeah. And then maybe a few speakers. So I had everything. Actually, when I think about after like a year of working, how I was looking like I was really very sufficient. Yeah, I had good things
so
in my house.
So it is possible. You can talk to a young person out there. It is possible.
It is possible. You just have to start slowly and you plan yourself. You don't need to buy everything month one.
Especially planning. You said planning yourself. Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, so I thought you had just come from, at that time.
No, those days our parents, the minute you start working, let's just say the minute you go to university, you're more or less on your lazima ujipange. Yeah, so I like that I had to move away from home very early, and that forced me to grow up very quickly and be able to get my own things and start planning around my life. Yeah, so the job was tough, but
you managed.
Nangangana. Yes.
Yeah. And I remember also in Uganda, we were supposed to go there for honeymoon. Our honeymoon, actually, to go to Uganda. At that time, you were in Uganda. Is it Uganda?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because after Ukunda and Kenya Women for like 3 years. So I was in the coast for 2 years. And then after that, I came and worked with the same organization in Kisumu for 1 year. And then now when I got married, my husband went to Uganda.
I remember.
Yes.
You all went there.
Yes. So I had to now move. So I moved from Kenya, we went to Uganda. And I think at that time is when you are planning to come over.
Yeah. But God saw us through here. In fact, we slept where the Uganda, the buses. So that we can. So all of a sudden, people are paying our ticket. We are going to Mombasa. Everything is paid. We were like, oh, thank you.
Thank God, yeah. But Uganda was a beautiful place. Yeah.
You liked Uganda. And how is it traveling with children, by the way, to different places?
My journey has been tough. Yeah, my journey has been tough because number one, I had my firstborn in Uganda. So let's just say I was a bit all alone. It's not like when you're in Kenya, you have family, you have people visiting. So for me, it's kind of like I had to really learn the whole ropes of taking care of a firstborn, and it was so hard for me. I think the experience we had with my firstborn is that one where you don't even wish to want to have another kid very quickly because he had colic. I didn't even know, I was clueless about what food. So it was just difficult. And then even for him growing up, those kids that you have to kind of walk around with a spoon to feed. Everybody reminds him now that he's grown that, hey, you are drama. Like when you were young, you were really problematic. But I think it's because I didn't have that support system as such. So people would come and visit, yes, but we were still guessing. And I remember us not sleeping for days because he had colic. We didn't even know what that was, and there wasn't Google. In those days, Google wasn't as there was no Google that will tell you this is this, try this. So it was experimentation. So it was tough being out on your own because even after that we still moved. Yes, we moved back to Kenya, but again later I had to move around with the children. So it was tiring. I think a few of my first years bearing children was you're tired all the time, you don't get enough sleep. When you're moving around, you have to pack so many things for your suitcase. You know, like you're carrying 2 or 3 suitcases, just baby clothes. Because again, you don't know what do you do. But I thank God that those are seasons. And eventually they grow up, they start going to school, and it stops being a problem, you know.
And
but it
have
was challenging.
very beautiful children. Wow.
Yeah, they have grown up. I'm really, really proud of them. So it was worth the while. Yeah.
Are you the strict mom?
Hey. Now, sometimes we normally have jokes, because sometimes I think the father is very strict, but they come back and say, hey, you are the one that seems like you're smiling, seems like you're saying yes, but there's a lot of toughness inside you. Yeah, but I'm normally, I give people a lot of chances. Yeah, sometimes I will just watch you do things and not say much. But eventually, when I see it has become too much, now I can even be tougher than anyone else. But I do give you those spaces. But the dad is normally very, like, he doesn't even wait, instantaneous. So this action, reaction, action, reaction.
Wow.
Yeah, but I'm not, I'm a bit strict. Like I like things being done in a certain way, but I also give allowances. Yeah.
Wow. So, and by the way, and you love business. Tumeuza mavitu na wewe unakumbuka?
Hiyo journey
Kwa
ya
gari yako
business.
kwanza hapo.
So my entrepreneurship has always been something that I really liked.
Wow.
But I think because of the way we are, you know, the way when we grow up, there's this script that is almost there. Nobody tells you it's there, but it's sort of there, where, you know, you go to school, finish school, you go to work, yeah, remain faithful and work for a few years, then, you know, think about retirement. But for me, I think in my mind, I always thought like an entrepreneur, you know, because even in the companies that I've worked, you work for 1, 2, 3 years, then I'm thinking I want to be creative around, but it seems as if this can't happen here. So I always had that trick of, you know, I need to do my own things. So I remember after moving around, you know, when you come out of the country, come back, sometimes you will not get that job easily. So what's the best thing to do? I'm thinking, what can I sell? Yeah, so I remember I have a friend of mine called Beatrice. And I remember those days, I think it's when now we would sit and think, what can we do now that we don't have, we don't have employment, we are not employed. What do we do? So I remember we used to even sell the mitumba clothes at some point. We go wash them very nicely, iron them, go knock on people's offices, the ones we know, tunawauzia. Then I remember we even used to have those businesses were doing, you take photos on WhatsApp and share. And then at some point we're also going to Uganda to buy bed sheets. And then we come and sell them. I remember those days. You would really introduce me to a lot of your friends. I remember. We had a van. So we had a family van, a very big one, where we would pack lots of bed sheets, and they were nice bed sheets. Would actually make them and combine the colors so well, and would go around, like you go to a company, people come in, they pick pieces. But that was a good business. I think we should go back. That was a good business.
It was very good. Hey, before we talk about how we rise, hey, you know, let me tell you, you know, people don't know. You'll share a little bit. Do you know, I went to I hope you have those photos. Mama Mogore has the photos. We shall share the photos. Do you know I saw you in the hospital?
Where? No.
Hey, before we start this.
Now that one.
You are destined for greatness.
I say amen to that, because that part of my life is just, it was really tough. To be honest, Julia, it was tough because...
How did it start?
Now, I had this, I had been, we can roll back to December. December of 2023. I had this cough. the cough and a bit of fever and all that. But what I did, you know, the way we treat ourselves.
Kenyans are doctors, natural
so we
doctors.
just treat ourselves. I was like, this is just a cough. Probably there's malaria, so you know, you self-medicate, and the fever goes down. And then you do the concoctions. Yeah, so you do the concoctions, lemon, ginger, what? And after a while now it disappeared. So I thought, I'm okay. So apparently I think I had some infection in my lungs. Because sometimes when it gets very cold, that is when now I start coughing. The cough was not like continuous, but when it gets very cold, it would come and I would cough. After that, I would again, you know, do the dawa and everything, then it goes away. So for me, I thought, I'm okay. This cold just keeps coming on and off. So we now push from December all the way to now February. Was it about February, end of February? Is when I went for a function.
And December, you okay going for function?
No, I was going. It's just when the cough comes, you take something warm, you feel a bit better. You're like, amen. So now in Feb, around end of February, this cough was becoming persistent because every week I would have that bout where I really cough, and I have to take something to make it now go down or remain manageable. And I had this thing of not wanting to go to the doctor. I don't know where I got that thing from. I think after the time around COVID, where people were scared about going to hospital, I kind of had that thing. So I was not very quick to go to the hospital. Yeah, so end of February, there's a place I went for some speaking contest, and it took a very long time. It was somewhere in Karen, and the place was cold. Yeah, I hadn't carried anything warm. So that place was really, really cold. I remember waiting and being very patient because I didn't know who to borrow something warm. So I remember being very patient and waiting until the event was over. Then after that, they were serving tea. So I went and had some tea. So, I was telling myself, if I take something hot, I'll be okay. Yeah. So I took tea, I felt a little bit better, and I had driven myself there. So I went back to the car. This time, that cough was not going. Like I can literally say I struggled to drive myself back because I coughed and I coughed and I coughed. And in between coughing, I was even wheezing, Yeah, so it was bad. But I just thank God I figured and found my way to the house.
In the house or in the hospital?
No, I went to the house. So from the function, I went to the house. So when I went to the house, I just remember telling the house manager, hey, do you have some tea or something? Hot nini. She knows she normally makes for me that concoction. Like, she made it for me, I took, and I'm like, I didn't feel like eating. Let me sleep. So in my head, I told myself, if I keep warm throughout the night, when I wake up, everything will be fine. But this time round, for some reason, I slept, but I couldn't wake up in the morning. I still had fever. So I sent them to get for me some painkillers because I was feeling feverish. So they went, got for me painkillers. I took them and I slept. I think up to around 2. I hadn't taken breakfast. I had slept throughout, and I was just still in my head telling myself, maybe it will go down. I don't know what I was thinking. So at about 2, my son, the second born, he's turned 18 this year. He's the one who now, I think he was going for football somewhere, and he wanted to now tell me, I'm off. So he came to my bedroom and he's like, Mom, I want to go, nini. Then he looked at me. It's like, you've not taken breakfast, you've not eaten, you're still hot, you don't look well. Yeah, so he calls the dad. He calls the dad and tells him, hey, because the dad wasn't around at that time. He was out of the country. So he calls him, he's like, Mom doesn't look well. She's not looking very well. I think she needs to go to the hospital. So at that time, the car was not available. And even if it was, the mechanic had picked it in the morning. Even if it was, I wouldn't have driven myself back. And now I was really wheezing. I could not breathe well. Yeah, so we got a cab and we went to hospital. So we went to AR. By the time I had taken the lift, because it was in that gateway mall, by the time I had taken the lift to go there, I was really wheezing. I couldn't breathe properly. Yeah, so when they put me in the temporary space where they give me the machine for
oxygen.
they're called that small oxygen, the one that just manages. So I tried it for a while. They observed me and they're like, "Hey, your levels are not improving. You may need to be admitted." Yeah, so we talked with the dad and we're like, if it's admissions, we just started here. Let us continue. So that evening, I was admitted, and my memory is a bit blurry after that because I don't remember very well. I just remember at some point they had to take me for a scan. So I just remember feeling very, very cold. Yeah, they had put me on some table and I think they had to put those machines. So I remember from afar feeling very cold and that event. The other things that happened after that, can you imagine? I can't remember. So apparently I was told that after admission, I got worse in the night. People had come to see me, but I got worse. In the night, when I got worse, they had to call and find out what to do. So I was put into a coma. So they say my oxygen levels went very low, so they had to give me some assistance. And that is how I could not remember anything because I was out.
There was in the ICU. Were you like? Is there anything that was coming in your mind, or dreams that you had, or anything?
At that time, me, I don't like, especially when I was in the first hospital I was in, the first 3 days or 4 days, because I was in AR at that time. I don't remember anything. I just saw photos. People showed me photos that this is you. I was asleep. I can't remember anything. But when they moved me to the other hospital, I remember when I was almost coming back because I stayed in ICU for over 2 weeks.
Imagine ICU, guys.
Yeah, so
and you say God is not real.
Let me tell you, it's just God.
Yeah.
So when I was trying to come back is when now I had those funny experiences where you feel like your soul has left.
Really?
Yeah, there are those funny.
Yeah.
There are those experiences that come, and it's not like a dream.
Yeah.
It's not
real.
like it's not like dreams. It's almost like you're watching a movie, but this is like an experience. So it's something that is really happening. Yeah. So
You could see your soul.
You actually feel like you are out, and you go somewhere else, and you have conversations with different people.
Like angels or different people.
Let me tell you, I don't, until I was wondering whether is it hallucinations that I was having. But I just remember many times moving out and then coming back. And when I come back, I'll be like, thank God I'm back home.
Yeah.
That was just, it was just funny. Yeah. So that one, maybe somebody who has experience about near death. Near death experiences can maybe talk about it, but for me, I just remember having so many those out of body experiences, but I would come back, and every time I would come back, I knew that I was now back, but it was so scary.
It was scary.
It was so scary. I remember the first time I opened my eyes. I could not, like the tubes were all over. I could not say anything, but I could see people coming in. So first I wondered, where are these people coming? And where are they coming? They're coming to see me. So I was just looking. It was very dreamy. I was just wondering, why are they coming to see me? And then I saw my dad at some point, and I'm asking myself, the last time the things I could remember is moving with my kid to the hospital. So I was like, see, the other day I was just, we were going to AR. Where are these people coming? Where are they coming for? What is my dad doing in Nairobi? He was in Busia the last time I knew. So I was so disoriented. Then I think after like 2 days, when they were able to remove my tubes, a few days when they removed the tubes, that's when my son asked me, Mom, do you know what the date is or when this day is? I'm like, I'm so clueless. I was just hoping that you could explain to me what is happening because I remember. So he's like, do you know how many days you stayed? I was like 2 or 3. He's like, my friend, you're going to the 3rd week. I was like, what? Yeah, and you come out, you find yourself walikuwa there's a way they had held my hand, and I'm lying there the whole time. It was so confusing. But they told me it's because I think the medication they give, it takes time to clear off. And you kind of just take time to come back, because I had to learn, the way it is, you have to learn everything again. You have to, eating seemed like a foreign thing. You have to sort of have them exercise the physiotherapy so that you can come back. And then a few months, even during recovery, it just takes time for you to understand your body. Yeah, so let me just say, I just thank God, because when I was leaving that house, I didn't know I was that sick. To be honest, I didn't know I was that sick. But after they did the scans and they told me you have, how do they call it? Is it chronic pneumonia? That pneumonia it was acute. It was so much, and I remember the doctor saying that if that night I hadn't gone to the hospital, it's those kind of situations where you can, they'll find that you went in your sleep.
Wow.
So I was like, is that how life is so, like, it's so fizzle in such a way that you can go? And when my phone was off and people were trying to get me during that whole period, about 2 months, the funny thing is, everybody who was being told Sony is sick, Sony was in ICU. We were like, which Sony?
Yeah.
We talked with her the other day. Who are you? Who are you talking about? Especially the people I was in the function with, they were like, who are you talking about? This lady, we were with her here 2 days ago. Why are you saying she's in ICU? What is she doing in ICU? What really happened? And then, those photos. Like when I left the hospital and they went and showed me, I just cried. Because I was like, if that was me, and I'm able to be here now, then that is just a miracle. For me, I always say I just thank God for my life, because even for some of those days after I recovered, it takes some time. When those medicines you're being given, the body is so weak. I used to feel like sometimes I just want to give up, because the pain is so much. Yeah, the pain is so much.
When you're healing.
Even when you're healing, the pain is so much. You have to. Yeah, there was still a lot of pain. The medication was like, it's just and you're being sick is not it's not a good thing, and struggling to breathe is not it's not a good thing. Yeah. So that struggle of trying to get your oxygen, in to make you do the things you want to do. Those are the things now we take for granted. And at that time, I got to understand very many things. I started understanding issues like when people have aged and they tell you they can't eat. Sometimes you take it personal. But I realized it can get to that. You can reach that point where you really want to do something, but you can't do it. Those times when somebody is ill and you're taking it for granted that they'll get better. I stopped that. I stopped because I know you can go at any time. So it's important for me. I feel like it's important that every moment that we have, just do the best that you can and appreciate people, because you don't know whether you will see them today or not. The life is very fickle. It's very short. It's very sensitive. Yeah, we can go at any time. So for me, I always say I'm a miracle. This year in March was blank because I can't remember anything. So those days I was in that coma, I can't siwezi kumbuka anything. And even this speech, it has come with time.
Imagine.
Yeah, it has come with time. Yeah. So I thank
What
God.
did you think about God?
Let me tell you, there are things we are taught, maybe in terms of maybe theology. There are things we've seen our parents teach us around Christianity, about God. But until you've experienced Him in certain ways, Yeah. So for me, anybody who wants to tell me, oh, there is no God, oh, God cannot do this, or I just look at them like, you know what? Until you've been in that place where you know for sure, if it was not for God, yeah, you would not have made it. Me, I was gone. I was gone, and my faith has just tripled because number one, you know, faith is that belief in things you cannot see.
Yeah, true.
But now for me, it's just an experience that undoubtedly yuko, Mungu yuko kabisa, because even the testimonies that people were saying during the time when I was sick, I could not do anything for myself. Who was doing that for me? Who was coordinating? You know, somebody would just pick a call and say, oh, you've heard about Sony's situation. Let's take 5 minutes to pray. Who was coordinating that? If not God?
Imagine.
Who was stepping in that space? If not God? I couldn't do anything for myself.
We also prayed. We prayed for you in church also.
Yeah, so you see all that was coordinating. You know, I was helpless.
Oh, so Sonny, tell me. So what were through that time? What were you thinking? What were people telling you? What was happening?
Yeah, so I remember now when I was in the first hospital, where now I think I spent like 2-3 days, and then the bill started going up, and they had to move me. So when I moved to the other hospital, I was told a day into. Yeah, there's a point in time where now I couldn't, like, they almost lost me. Yeah, so everybody just keeps telling me that that particular day, they had almost lost hope that I would survive. Why? Because they had to come and resuscitate me because I was losing my breath completely. So when I hear those kinds of stories, it scares me because I start wondering. But later on, they were telling me that yes, your family, you know, at some point they just looked and knew that this one might not survive. But the interesting thing is that God did his thing, because
He's a
I think
miracle working God.
exactly a day or so after, when the recovery process started, it was a very quick one compared to how fast I had deteriorated since the last time I went to hospital. Yeah, so for me, I always say that God did it for me.
Wow.
God did it for me, and for me, my faith has really gone higher. Why? Because I was helpless.
Oh yes.
I wasn't even able to pray for myself. I know that people came to pray for me. Priests came to pray for me. My family. You just know those near times when they know that anything can go either way. So the whole preparation was just to pray for me and prepare me for what might have become. But I thank God that He saved my life, and I am back out here. So some of the experiences that I could remember after I came to, because the whole other experience when I was in ICU, to be honest, I was unconscious, so I cannot remember anything. But the moments when I was coming to, the days when now I started recovering, trying to speak, seeing people, trying to see who they are, those days were really troubled with a lot of hallucinations and also out of body experiences where I just felt like my soul was leaving and going to places and then later on coming back. But I remember seeing a light that would make me know that there's something better on the other side. But I also remember very low moments where when you feel a lot of pain, because that medication was, I think my infection was, it must have been a very, my lungs were really affected. So there was a lot of medication, even after to try and clear that bacterial infection. So there are moments of a lot of pain, fever up and down, and sometimes you feel like you want to just give up because you get tired. You get tired of trying to breathe well. You get tired of all that medication, sitting there, So there are very many moments where I felt like sometimes I want to just, give up, but again I would remember the promises, those promises you make with God. Yeah, so I would think about, we had agreed that I will be there for my children's weddings. What happened? What is happening? Promises like I wanted to maybe build a hospital. I wanted to do, those dreams that you had. I'd keep on, reminding God when I'm having those moments, like, we want to do this together. What is happening? And I could see, something kept on telling me that God is a God of clarity.
Wow.
Like he's not, there are no gray areas with him. He's very, very clear. And I kept on looking at, in that hospital, they had like a cross somewhere across the ICU bed. And every time I would look at it, I would just remind myself that God, there are promises and plans that you have for me, and I know that you're going to take me through this.
Wow.
Yeah, you're going to take me through this. But it was not an easy moment, Julia. Even for my family, it was not an easy moment. And so today, sitting as a miracle person, I know
there's something you said about religion, and it's not about that is so powerful.
Yeah, so for me, that experience taught me one thing. It's not about the religious practices that we do. It's not about how many times you have gone to church, how many times you have. That is important for fellowship, yes, but it's not about counting how many times you have done that. It is more about that spiritual experience you have with God. Because I reached
The
that
personal
level,
relationship
that
you have.
personal relationship you have with God, and the way you experience Him in your life. That made me understand that faith is more. It is so personal, and it is more about how you are experiencing God. The belief that He will do it for you, and He does it. The belief that He promises to do this for you, and He does it. But you see, it takes also a lot of us surrendering. Like I was giving you the analogy about my brother-in-law the other day. He was telling me that it is, you're built for greatness, but you have to get on your knees. And now he was using the analogy that, when you get on your knees, then it symbolizes something. And I was just thinking about it today, and I thought, when maybe a thief, for instance, is caught. I know you don't plan to be caught, but when you're caught, what is the first thing you do? They go on their knees and they put their hands up, which means they surrender. So the whole issue around faith is also surrender. Are we able, as Christians, to be able to know that this thing is not by my power? It is not my power, because to be honest, Julia, it could never have been my power to get me out of that bed.
At all. And how many people have been there and they
didn't make it? And that is the thing, even the staff kept on telling me. They kept on telling me that, Madam, we almost lost you so many times in this room. But look what God has done. You are here today, you are speaking. I remember them asking me, you came here in an ambulance, because I had to go to, for that scan, for them to check and see whether the, what do you call it? To see whether the infection had cleared. And I was, still learning to walk, but I walked to that. So I remember we were passing the ICU, and they were telling me that was your home for several weeks. And they can't believe that now I am even the one walking myself to that room.
That is God.
And walking out of there, not in an ambulance. So for me, I just see it as a miracle, and it has increased my faith to know that I have to surrender. I cannot say that it is because I have done this, that is why He has blessed me. No. It is just His grace and His place to know that,
and His mercy.
And His mercy to know that, Sony, there's still more that I want you to do. There's still more that I want you to do. And I have actually seen that everything that has happened after that experience is also things that I cannot personally explain. The opportunities, the chances, the things that I'm being able to do are things that I'm just saying, where did all this come from? And I think it just comes from that point of surrendering and saying, God, show me what more you want me to do. So for me right now, as I move forward, I have said yes to so many things that I think initially I would have said, ngoja kidogo, no, not now. But I have said yes to so many things. Why? Because I have to keep listening and asking myself, God, is this what you want me to do? Like, for instance, even maybe this interview. I don't know how he put it in your mind that Sony come and so sometimes I have to ask myself when somebody is asking me to do something, I have to keep asking myself, is this part of your plan? Is this part of what you want me to do? And if it is, I obey. So sometimes I know many people will look around and say, hey, this woman is doing so many things, left, right, and center. Why is she here? Why is she here? But for me, I feel like God is speaking to me and speaking to me through people.
Wow.
Yeah. Because he was there for me. He was talking to you guys to pray for me. He was, I hear stories where people are telling me, somebody just picks a call. It's like, I have a friend of mine who's in ICU. She's unwell. She has children. Can we take a moment to pray? And they immediately just start praying. What is that? So for me, I look at all that as God just showing me that he's there for me. He's going to guide me. He will be there for me to do whatever it is he wants me to do.
You so much.
And he loves me so much. Every time I have to remind myself, every morning, every evening, I do my prayers and I just thank him for the opportunities, because these opportunities are rare. They are very, very rare, and he gives me the strength to be able to fulfill. So if he tells me do something, sometimes there's that fear. Before there would be so much fear. What will people think? Yeah, why should I do it? Why should? But after that experience, there's so much courage, because I believe that he wants me to do this thing. Why? Because maybe through my speaking, I may be able to connect and help somebody achieve their destiny. I don't know. It could just be a word I've said. It could just be an appearance that I would make, but that would help somebody else see some hope and see some way of living their lives differently. So for me, I feel right now, one thing I just told God is, use me in the way you want me, because I cannot understand how I was able to come out of that situation.
Comparing your life now and before, have you seen changes? Like,
they are milestones.
And especially with God.
I think you hear him a little bit more. There's you hear him a lot more. There's that, before maybe it would pass you like, the flash can just pass you and you almost don't take time to. Now I think you hear him more. And I have a lot of silent moments. A lot. I have a lot of pauses. Even during the day when an issue comes around. Before I was very quick to respond, but now I have a lot of pauses. I pause a lot and think through it. And I tell, I have those conversations of, is this what you want me to do? And as I do it, will it be, is your name being glorified in the process of me doing this? And those questions are very important, because they help me to decide whether I should go for it or not. So it helps. There's a lot of guiding force. And another thing is courage. I have, all of a sudden, I just feel I have courage, strength from him to be able to do things that I would not be able to do before. That one I can assure you. I've been called for some, things like, come and moderate this. Things I don't even, I am clueless what it means to moderate, but I accept it. I look upon him to give me guidance, and I'm able to go through it. So I feel like I have more courage to get to do things. I don't have that fear, because I keep telling myself, if God put me through this, what would he put me through? Because this was it. I was gone. This was it. I was gone. I wouldn't be here telling this story. But now that I am here, and he has said, do this, he'll give me the strength to go through it. So I keep relying a lot on him for guidance. I think I have become more thoughtful in the things that I do. And my faith, Julia, me, I believe. As you tell me, there's greatness, I totally believe and surrender that there is greatness ahead.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
So I'll just look up to him to see where are you guiding me.
Wow. I usually say every time you wake up in the morning, remember God has something that He wants you to do. As long as you are alive,
It's true.
There's just something that God wants you to do. Now, before we come here, how did you deal with your mom's death, the grief? How
I don't know whether you're able to ever deal, because I think a lot of what my life changed a lot when we lost my mom. Oh, you know that person who is like the pillar, brings everybody together. Will always call you to check on you. That sincere call. I'm a very introverted person. I'm not very quick to make calls, but she would always call. She would call you in the morning, she'd call you in the evening, and she'd tell you, I've really missed your voice. How are you doing? What's going on? Now, can you imagine after burying and everything, that phone call, those phone calls?
Yeah.
So for me, it was tough for me, and many people knew it was going to be tough for me because I don't speak about it.
Yeah.
So many times I'll just sit. The only peace that I had in my mind is before we even buried her, every time I thought about her, I could see her singing.
Wow.
In heaven. I just have that picture.
Wow.
Of her singing, because she used to like singing. She didn't have a perfect voice, but she would sing. Yeah, I remember when we were growing up, she would record. You remember those cassettes? Yeah. She would record herself singing. Yes, she would record herself singing in those. So I just was seeing a picture of her singing. I know it is heaven because she's happy, she's clapping, people are so I know she's in a better place. Because she was quite sick before she went, but dealing with that.
Wow.
Do you know, after my mom's death, I even decided to leave the job that I was doing.
Really?
Yeah, I just felt I needed, there's this urgency that comes when you lose somebody, because you realize there's no time.
Yeah.
So I started asking my job, nitaka job all my life. I'm like, no, I have to figure out what else I can do. So I left that job. I'm now in entrepreneurship. I'm doing so many things. That kind of thing of no time it's really in my mind. So I try to control it a bit, because I also don't want to feel like I'm pushing myself too much to do so much, because I know there's no time. But you see, that my mom's death made me feel like there's no time for things maybe do. Then the other thing is just that grief. That process is, you go through a sad phase. You go through a sad phase because, and then sometimes I always think that I have healed until something, maybe you see a photo and then it's almost like you never even grieved.
Yeah.
So I allow myself to cry when those moments
and
come.
It is okay. It is okay to
so
cry.
I allow myself that space to cry. I allow myself that space to mourn her, but I always like to think of her in a good light. I try to remember, to keep in mind the good memories of her. Because when I start thinking about maybe the sufferings or the things that really didn't go her way, it makes me more sad. So I would rather remember her in a cheerful way. But her death really, it affected me so much. I just pray to God that I will be able to do some of the things that I feel would be in her memory. I really pray.
And especially also like a hospital, something.
With a hospital or a clinic.
Because we went to the burial, and most of the people who are talking were, alinisaidia, nilikuwa mgonjwa, nilikuja, those are
so if we could be able to figure out a way of just having some memorial hospital or clinic or something in her memory, that would be awesome. Because I remember,
and everything is possible. You will do that.
So even me, if that could happen, then I know I would have peace. Those questions I was telling you, I was asking myself, I was asking God, so you want to do something.
True.
So if what will happen? So in my mind I just started, maybe you'll choose somebody else to be able to do that. But if you could do that in memory of her, that would be really, really awesome, because she was such a kind soul.
Very. Wow, Sasa, let's talk about WADADA. Hey, man, you're doing awesome. This is so beautiful. Talk to us about WADADA. This is WADADA. She's doing such an amazing naona. Hey, WADADA, how did you start WADADA?
So, where will I start? So maybe I can just start by maybe what made me think that mentorship is key, because WADADA is all about mentorship.
Yeah.
So growing up, as I told you, my mom was there, but I stayed more with my dad, which means there's a lot of things about a woman that I wouldn't have learned from my dad. So my dad taught me confidence. Sisi, we were not those ones who to me were fair. We were taught to be very independent. So as you're going for a date, you needed to have your own money. You needed to have, in case the bill is not paid, you pay. You needed to have your own money, fair kurudi. So those are the things my dad taught me. He taught me how to be confident about myself. But there are things about a woman that I was not able to see growing up, and I felt like there was something missing. So that was growing up. Now, in terms of career-wise, same thing. You will not. I remember trying to ask one of my bosses one time that, I see you do things very well. Can you mentor me? Then he told me he doesn't. What is that? It's like, it's like, what is that mentorship thing you're talking about? You just watch what I'm doing and you will be able to pick a few things. So I just felt like, what is this mentorship thing that, I'm asking him to mentor me, he cannot guide me. So I felt like a bit lost, like I needed somebody to hold my hand in something. Now, the mentorship opportunities that were available were either for me to pay for a course. Now, when I pay for a course, that's when now after the course, maybe the person can mentor me. It just becomes so difficult. And I think that's the reality. Sometimes you do something based on the gap you have experienced. So I really found it difficult to find a physical mentor. I found mentorship in books. There's mentorship even on YouTube. You can follow some people, yes. But I struggle to get mentorship in terms of a physical person to hold my hand. So that one is something I really struggled with. So I remember while working in both of the companies that I spent a lot of time with, I would have these ladies who would come, be like, "Hey, madam, please, can you mentor?" I'm like, mentor you in how? Now, given that my boss didn't even tell me what meant, I'm like, what do you mean mentor you? I'm clueless. Another one, be my mentor. So I'm like, hey. So you have to sit down and structure and see what is this mentor that people want you to mentor them in. So I remember sitting somewhere and deciding, okay, if I'm to mentor some ladies, let me pick a few that I can teach something, and then now they can teach others. So one of my spiritual gifts is teaching.
Wow.
I've done a lot of teaching since my first job up to now. So one of my spiritual gifts is teaching. I have been in training for a very long time. So I knew the best way I can mentor somebody is if I teach them something. If it's something about women, something about my profession, something about my skills, that is what I can mentor in. So I decided, since as a girl I didn't get that female mentorship, then let me select some 3 girls, mentor them both as women and as career ladies. And what I realized is that in a span of like 6 months, one was promoted, one was, like I could clearly see the difference between before and after. So I was like, this thing can work. So I kind of stayed with those 3 ladies for a while I'm still employed. So when I left my work in end of 2022, I was wondering which project should I do. So I decided, why can't I now pick this one? And you can imagine how serious I was with this mentorship, because I looked for a logo, looked for a name. So our name was our name is WADADA Kupitiliza.
Wow.
So I was thinking, why, how will I structure that name? So Kupitiliza means like I remember the Tanzanian saying umekaa vizuri kupitiliza. So I was like, kupitiliza sort of means excellent, over you really, excessively. So WADADA kupitiliza is just that. Can we be ladies who come together and do exceptional things? So that's how the name came up. Started with those 3 ladies. After employment, I had a bit of time on my hands, so I decided, why not open it up to more women?
Wow.
And that is how we started the free webinars.
Wow.
So for the whole of 2023, we're doing webinars every month. So that pulled a lot of interest. And late last year, around October, is when now we launched the initiative. So after launching it, we have two platforms. We have one for paid membership, where we do a little bit more targeted mentorship. And then the other one is just open. People just post. It's a platform for them. So people just post their businesses. In case we have some webinars, we post them there. But we are still trying to shape it so that it becomes something that can be sustainable for longer. So we have some ladies from Uganda who also they listen in. Some of them came for the launch. So I feel like it's something that can really grow over and above what I thought, and I'm seeing it every day. So of course there are challenges here and there because our committee is purely volunteer. So we are trying to see how can we make it more sustainable and grow both what is in Kenya and what is in Uganda. But that one for me, it makes me sleep well at night. Why? Because when you see people, when you see people picking it up, becoming better, and then again now taking that mentorship down to other people now. So once we mentor them, some of them now do the same to either their teams or the other younger people. And I think that is, it really, creates a bit of impact. And I feel like, wow, yeah. So some of the testimonials that they normally speak about, they just leave me amazed. Yeah. And so it's now an opportunity where we have people who would like to mentor can come in and mentor, and those who want to be mentored can be mentored.
So you give room for other women also to come and mentor.
So they can use that as a platform to even, we hold webinars, and every time we're looking for speakers. So if you're somebody who's really passionate about mentoring young women and it's in a certain topic, let us know. We can invite you for some of the webinars. Let them listen to you, and probably in that process they can also be able to understand what you do and what is in it for them in that particular space that you are in. So it has grown. It has really grown. And every time I look at it,
love, inspire, mentor, lead. This
exactly.
Is so beautiful.
It is just women empowerment, encouraging each other, having that space. Sometimes you need that space where you can be vulnerable and be able to share with people without feeling judged. So that is what that space offers. We also support now other people within the community who are struggling to do other things concerning women. So,
and let me ask you, have you like gone to schools and colleges, and especially girls' schools?
So we are trying to do that for them. This term that is opening, we are planning to have what we call a career day. So a career day in selected schools where now we can have a few of us go in there and talk to girls. So we are still looking into other, people who want to partner with us, people who want us to go to their schools and be able to talk to the ladies. We are very open to that because we have over 100 in the open platform and around 30 women who are now members, paid members. So that's a huge number, which means we are available in case people want us to go and support their projects. But we have that coming up. We have a launch also coming up in
and they have nice t-shirts. Let me
you want to
let me show you.
There are some capes in there.
Oh, you have
so that is
checky. Look, guys, wadada. Wait, this is awesome. This is beautiful.
So we are doing great things.
Thank you so much.
And we'll keep doing great things.
There. And kindly, if you want to partner with SONY, look at this. This is beautiful. Ebu cheki, zawadada. This is so beautiful. Nona, wadada, this is nice. Wow. And the diaries, the notebooks, this is so you are doing amazing. Nona, this is so. And do you sell this? Or you give
maybe during we give.
we give.
We give, and maybe if you're part of the membership, that you just buy them as members.
Okay.
But we have a walk coming up. We need to confirm the dates, but it's in, I think it's end of September. We'll have a nature walk in Karura, and we're inviting everybody. Men, women, girls, boys, children.
I wish you had confirm the date, but before we share, you can give us
I'll give you the date.
so that
it's an upcoming event. That one we will go for a walk. We'll have t-shirts. Part of the packages we are having is there's one where if you want a t-shirt and a cape, you'll pay a certain amount. If you want a t-shirt only, you'll pay a certain amount. Yeah, it would be nice if you join us for that particular walk. You get to understand what we do, see what we can gather from the walk, maybe connect and see what more we can do to support the society. Yeah, be it both men and women. I know we are WADADA, but as WADADA, we can do so much to support what is happening out there. Yes.
So right now, if maybe there are companies who are there and they want to partner with you, will you allow that? Like they come in and
yes, we do allow that. We are having our awards in November. We are reaching out to quite a number of companies to come and be part of that event. There'll be so many women coming there, so they could also be there to talk about what they offer. Where we really need a lot of support is now when we are giving back. When you're giving back and going to those safe houses, giving back when we are now trying to teach the young ladies a few things here and there, maybe talk to them about careers, encourage them, motivate them. When you're visiting orphanages, just doing things for the community. We are very open for partnership. Yeah.
Wow. And there's a book here where this girl, amazing girl, How We Rise. She has written this book with other.
So this is an anthology. Yeah, so this is one of those things that I'm saying serendipity after I came back.
Wow.
After I came back from that experience. I couldn't even believe, because I got a call from a guy called Doso. He's in the guys who have published it. They are called Zion Publishers. So yes, he got a call from him and he was like, can you tell your story and let it be part of this particular book called How We Rise. So we are 12 ladies in here telling our stories. So the stories are short, as you can see, they are 12, but the book is not so big. So it's just a brief overview about our stories and the things we have gone through as women. And I really like what it is talking about, rising. Why? Because I'm that one person who, as you have heard, this story was, it was a moment where I was down. But again, now what am I doing? I'm rising. So God has that ability of always taking us through the conditions, the situations that we go through in life, and knowing that as much as you can find yourself in a certain circumstance, God, the same God who put you in there, who you put in there, will give you the strength to be able to, number one, adapt to the new environment. Number two, reinvent yourself so that you can be able to now cope and also rise now to the next level where you want to go. So for me, I say it's the three things. Whatever you find yourself in life, accept that this is where I am. But what you do, adapt. Once you adapt and you realize that now I can, exist in this particular space, the second thing is to now reinvent yourself. If you need to teach yourself something different, teach yourself. If you need to go see a counselor, if the situation is a difficult situation, do that. But reinvent yourself so that again you're able to do it, to rise again. Si tunaambiwa maisha ni mlima na mabonde. So it doesn't mean that ukikuwa hapo chini you will not rise again. You'll always rise. And it's good to accept that life is not a straight line. So the stories here, all the women have talked about their lives, and you'll discover that there are so many times that they've gone through difficult time, but every time they have looked upon God. And so for me, in this book, my story, I call it, it's of faith and resilience. It's actually the last
Oh, it's the
So
last
it's the last one here.
Wow.
It's about resilience and faith.
And faith.
So for me, faith is just
Wow.
it's just a big thing. Through you,
Wow.
if you read through, you'll see the
Wow.
the things that I've gone through, including I told you about the first years in Nukunda.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to ride a motorbike. Something that, at some point I fell. I almost lost my life falling there trying to learn how to ride a bike, but I survived it.
Imagine.
So stories like that are in here.
They're there also.
Yeah, I've put here the stories about my life. I've also
Mhm.
talked about moving to Uganda,
Mhm.
starting from scratch. I'm in sales, but my sales career started where in Uganda. So you can imagine trying to sell in Luganda.
Yeah.
You being a Kenyan trying to sell in a different language.
Yeah.
So all those challenges are in here,
Mhm.
and there are very beautiful stories from each of these women.
Wow.
So this is a must buy. So the How We Rise, if you want a copy, they will you leave the details there, but Zion Publishers are the ones distributing it.
Wow.
And you go to their website, you'll definitely get the contact and be able to purchase. Or maybe contact me. Yeah, but this is one of those projects that I have done.
And they also have beautiful
those are carry bags.
Yeah, the carry bags. Yeah, they're beautiful. And what is this?
Or this
Self-mind
harvest.
Sales and leadership. This is beautiful.
So
I hope hizi unaniachia.
Hiyo nitakuachia. So my profession is in sales.
Wow.
I mentioned it a little bit. So I'm a sales and leadership coach. That is what I mainly do. And I run the organization called Self Mind Harvest.
Oh, wow.
So this company, it supports organizations.
Wow.
It supports individuals. So you're struggling to sell yourself.
Self Mind Harvest.
Yes.
Wow.
You're struggling to sell yourself. You're a company, your sales team is struggling. They don't know how to sell. Your numbers are down. We are the people you can contact.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And we can see your email address, your web. You shall leave everything. And one number. Are they all yours? Can you give us one number?
You will take this one.
Oh.
This one is the first one. This one is the
This
one I'll leave you with. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, this is amazing. Super amazing. You're doing such an amazing job, and continue shining. And by the way, you should write your story.
Definitely,
Please write another book. Yeah,
I will, because
you've gone through.
Yeah, this is just a small.
Yeah.
Let me call it like a window into my life.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to write a book about my story.
Yeah, please do.
Write a book about my stories. There's so much that can be put out there, and I'm looking upon God to give me the grace.
Yeah, He will. He will. Now, what could you like to tell someone who is there? Maybe they're giving up, they're sick, and they really, really want to give up. What could you like to tell them?
No, so based on my story, for me, I had so much had to happen in my life. For example, career-wise, there are so many times I had to sort of put my career on the pause and move around with my family. Yeah. And that posed a lot of challenges sometimes because, for instance, when we went to Cameroon, that is a foreign country. I didn't know how to speak French. I didn't have a job. You have to start again from scratch. Just pull yourself together and accept that this is where I am. All right? For me, that would be the first thing. Whatever circumstance, pull yourself together and I'll understand that this is where I am right now. But as you accept that this is where you are, don't have that comfort to say that iko hivi, iko hivyo, I'm giving up. This is where life has put me, so you give up. No. Be able to have a goal to rise, because we were not born.
Have a goal, yeah.
Yeah, we were not born to be, as human beings, we were born to grow. And the minute you're very comfortable and you're not growing, then you start having some bitterness, resentment towards life. That kind of space brings a lot of negativity in your life. You're supposed to not be a chicken, yet you are born to be an eagle. Discover and find out who you are. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? try to listen to that voice of God in terms of what He's trying to tell you to do. After you discover what that thing is, just have faith and courage to go after it. Yeah, so whatever it will take, whether you need mentors to help you, whether you need collaborators to help you, whether you need to read more books, whether you need to take yourself to school, whether you just need to go and talk to your pastor or a spiritual leader to just help you and guide you, whichever help you need, please go for it, and just make sure you're not staying stagnant in that particular space. Why? We were born to rise. We were born to become the better versions of ourselves. I have seen that working for me, and that is what I would encourage people to do. So I will just leave you with the 3 things that I had said. At the point when I was coming back to Kenya and I didn't have a job and I didn't know what to do, I had to take a low-paying job. It didn't pay me much, but I had to take that and humble myself to start again. So let's not be afraid of starting again. Even if you need to start again 100 times. Please do. The issue is keep on trying. Why? Because the second time you're not trying from scratch. You're trying from a certain level of experience. So my call would be able to adapt to that situation, but reinvent yourself by keeping on trying. Even if it's 100 times, you keep trying. Yeah. If it is that video you're shooting, like Julia is is doing the YouTube, the first time might not get it right, but keep trying. By the time you're doing the 200th time, be sure the quality will be very different from how you started. But many of us give up. Yeah, we come and say, oh, I'm too old. Who will employ me at this particular stage? And you give up. You're supposed to keep going. If it's business you're trying, it's not working. Find out why is it not working. As I said, be also somebody who can ask for help, because a lot of times
people don't.
I have moved from step A to B because I asked. So imagine if you let your ego get on the way where you feel like you don't want to ask. Ask for help. And sometimes it's just one call. Even for the WADADA initiatives that I'm doing, it's because I actually either accepted a call or made a call to ask somebody to help. Because how will people know you need help if you're not asking? You're not putting yourself out there. And believe you me, even without money.
True.
I remember when we were launching WADADA, I was approaching some women who I thought would not be available. But I called them for small kahawa. We have 2 minutes talk, 2 minutes. And they're like, I'm coming. And I'm like, but we don't have money. Who said they asked for money? So you see that asking, imagine if I hadn't approached them, imagining in my own mind that they will not accept, then I wouldn't have had the success that I have. So ask. Ask the people. Chokoza watu, I remember Julia those days when I would be like, Julia may have things to sell here. Do you have a following? And you take and put it even in your WhatsApp. And then you tell me, oh, somebody has ordered 2 things, somebody had ordered 3 things. Tell people what you're doing.
True.
Yeah, if I'm in your contact, you're selling something, you never know. You ask.
True.
It is better that you ask and I reject than you never asked. So the most important thing is number 1, please be able to put yourself out there, ask for the help that you need, and then have the courage to go for it. And let people not kill your dreams. Because sometimes even people who are close to you might kill your dreams. They might.
They might.
They will.
You have to be strong.
No, you have to be strong, because I remember there are days when, like right now, I'm not formally employed. So somebody will look at you and think you're suffering. You know that notion in the society that as long as you're not employed, you're suffering. So that perception is there. So you have to go beyond the perception that people have about what it is you want to do. If you want to make an honest living, God has visited you and given you that idea. He did not visit the other people. See, we were told that could visit. The dream didn't come to other people. It came to you. So it is up to you to make it happen. And the surprising thing is that when you now rise and you're at the top, the same people who are telling you not to will be the first people to be there with you and be like, we told you this thing could. could happen. So imagine
Yeah.
if you had given up. So
Yeah.
it is important. If that calling is your calling, you go for it. They will join you later. Why? Some people discourage you not because they don't want you to grow. It's because sometimes they fear for you. Like, for example, your spouse can tell you, don't do this thing. It's not like he hates you. It's because they fear for you.
Yeah.
Why? They know that ukianza biashara itakusumbua severally. You will fail so many times. They are almost pitying you before you get into it. But now you should not let that sentiment get in your way. You go for it.
Wow.
When they see you have the stamina to move, now they will come in and say, si tunaweza kusaidia hapa, tunaweza kusukuma hapa. So don't always look at that feedback as negative. It's only that they have not been visited the way you've been visited. So please, let it happen. People will always join you later. And even if they don't join you, it is still okay, because we are here to make sure that we are fulfilling that which God brought us on earth to do. And that is why even after my mom's death, I sat down and I saw so many people had, you remember, so you are in the
I was.
so many testimonials about the things she did.
Yeah.
That I started asking myself, is this the same woman that I knew?
Imagine.
Which means for her, for the better part of her life, she lived her purpose.
Yeah, true.
So my question now became, Sonny, are you living your purpose?
Yeah.
So wherever space you are in, try to see what is God telling me to do, even if it's a job. If there are gaps in that organization, those are the voices God is telling you, hapa kuna shida, na nakupatia idea. Why don't you take advantage of that and do that while you're working?
Wow.
When you're out of work and there are opportunities for doing business, he still visits you with ideas, telling you, aya, how watu hawana hii. Why can't you supply them with it? But you want to ignore. You're supposed to listen to that voice and know that he's trying to tell you that there's a problem that needs you to solve. Can you get involved
with that?
Can you get involved with that? And in the process, you start seeing some fulfillment in your life, and you sleep well at night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now the last thing. If maybe, I don't know whether it's a question or a comment, but if maybe you're told to go to, we have so many churches that we also do mentor and also training. Can you be available, like to go and maybe train the youth, especially like if they have maybe a seminar for 3 days? Can people invite you to their churches to come and train and do?
Definitely.
Yeah.
As I said, teaching is my spiritual gift. And I take any opportunity to be able to teach. I am very much available. Yes. So
so like in churches,
out.
do you give like certificates when people finish? You know me, I love certificates.
Definitely. For any course.
For any.
Yeah, so for any course that is structured and you're able to complete it, we'll give you a certificate of completion.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what we normally do, even with the courses that we offer at Self-Mind.
Wow.
So for whatever structured course you do, the minute you complete, we give you certificates.
Wow.
So you just let us know which is for maybe giving back and which is commercial. Some are commercial, some are for giving back. So some forbid. That's what I say. If, for example, it's an institution, maybe it's a, as you're saying, religious, it's a church, and you need some assistance to train people in a certain way, and maybe they don't really have money.
They
are available.
They usually give tokens, so don't just go like
or maybe at a subsidized
already got trained. So at least, and this is so beautiful. So thank you so much, Sony, for coming. And we'll get your contacts, we'll get your email, your telephone number. We've been given one. Please reach out to her, and if you're there are companies, maybe you want to partner with Sony, please get in touch with her. She's available. And if you're there, you're in church, you want her to come and train maybe the youth, and especially even the young girls, the young boys, the training is there. Bagwange, Cindy. You can do both here. So thank you so much for watching. I mean, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for coming, and God bless you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow.
Thank you.
Okay, God bless you.
God bless you.